Hi, and welcome to our first pre-recorded lesson. This is Aryeh Eisenberg. We met last week during our first live session together, and I'm really happy to be back with you, even if it is in this non-live format. This week, we're going to take a look at why we use technology at all, why a program like this is even happening, and we're going to take a look at some useful and applicable websites and resources that you can already start to bring into your classroom. So let's get started. We're going to switch now over to the WebEx platform that we used for our live meeting last week, and we'll continue from there. Okay, here we are, and let's get started. I titled this presentation today, The Facebook Generation, because if we think about where our students are coming from and where they have their mindset, our students are in fact the Facebook generation. And whether they use Facebook or Twitter or any other platform to talk to each other, to communicate with each other, to socialize with each other, the fact is that social media has really taken over the world of communication by storm. And it's important for us to realize this because, as we discussed last week, we have to teach the way our students think. If we want to connect with our students, we have to make sure that they are able to identify with us. And it's important for us to always remember that this is the Facebook generation. And what we're going to be looking at both today and over the next 10, 11 weeks together is how to maximize the potential that we already have in front of us. Every student, whether we do or not, we're all from different generations, which is great. We can bring a lot of experience, a lot of expertise to our classroom. But our students all have access to the World Wide Web and to the resources of the internet, whether on a laptop computer, whether on a phone, whether on their gaming console even. It's in front of them. It's important that we always remember this, and I'm going to constantly remind you of this fact as we proceed through this course together, because again, we have to understand where our students are coming from in order for us to be able to identify with them. So that's where we are right now. We know this is the Facebook generation. We know how our students think. I'll share with you just a quick story. Last year, I was working with a school here in Israel to get them set up for an online class, and for most of our online classes up until that point, we had sent the invitations for each class via email. The idea is that every student, just like you guys did for the first live lesson, every student would receive an email notification in their email inbox, and all they would have to do is click the link and they would come into the WebEx platform. So what happened, I was talking to this group of about 15 or 20 students approximately, and about 7 of them raised their hands and said, "We don't have email addresses." And I was shocked. How could it be that in the year 2011, 2012, students did not have email addresses? This just couldn't be possible. And then I realized what was happening. It wasn't that they didn't know how to have email addresses. It's just that in their social group, in their social circles, email was not the preferred way of communication. How did they communicate? They communicated with their friends and their family, even their family and other contacts, by writing messages, by chatting on programs like Facebook, by Twittering, by even SMSing on their phones was more preferred for most of these students than traditional emails. At the end of the day, it actually turned out that most of these students did have email addresses. They just never checked them, and some of them had to do password reminders. But it was very interesting. It opened up my eyes and showed me really, again, where the students are coming from here. So let's get started. First of all, like we started to talk about last week, why technology? We've all seen, whether we're teaching part-time, whether we're full-time teachers, new teachers, veteran teachers, we've all seen technology kind of take the educational world by storm. Just to share a statistic with you, and I'm not a big fan of statistics, but I think this one is interesting. In the year 1995, there were approximately, in public schools across the United States, every public school district had approximately 5,000 computers across district-wide in all of their schools. This was in 1995. By 2008, that number had tripled to 15,500 computers in the district. And here we are now, only 3.5 years later, and that number is already over 22,000. And what do we see from this? We see, obviously, whether you like technology or not, whether you see its purposes, we see that the computers, the capabilities are taking the educational world by storm. And this is for a few reasons. First of all, we know that technology gives us easier and faster ways to communicate with both each other, with our students, with our parents, with our community members. And we're going to take a look in a few minutes at some examples of how we can use technology to create easier and faster communication. The examples I always give to teachers, I remember back when I was in school, when I was in high school in the early 90s, when it came time for the teacher to schedule a test, there was a big test calendar in the back of the room, and the teacher would write on the calendar the day and the time that the math test or the history test would be. And it would be up to the students to make sure that we kept an accurate test calendar in our notebook. And of course, me being the conscientious student that I was, I would get home, my mother would ask me, "So, you have any tests coming up?" And I would say, "No." That's just, I admit it, I wasn't the classic most responsible student. So my mother would maybe be a little suspicious, but she really had no way of knowing whether I was right or I was not telling the truth. And the only thing she maybe could have done was called the teacher, which, nobody wants to bother the teacher. It took a little bit more effort. Nowadays, most schools have test calendars online, or at least via email. So any parent, any student who needs to know what's going on is able to find out really just at a moment's glance. The next reason, access to more materials and information. I can't tell you how that there's a joke out there. Somebody says, the mother says to the child, Go use the internet. Go use the internet to find the information you need. And the kid comes back and says, "I finished the internet." And what's funny about this is that that's impossible, because the internet, the World Wide Web, just continues to grow exponentially. And the fact that we have this information at our fingertips anytime we need it is just an amazing thing. I know as a teacher, I was teaching a Jewish history class last year to a group of students, and somebody asked a question that was a little bit off topic. They asked a question about Kristallnacht. And I, of course, knew the general history of Kristallnacht, and I could have explained it to them, but I said to myself, you know what? I know there's a YouTube video out there that could do this much, much better than I could, and probably in less time. So while the student was asking the question, I immediately went to YouTube, searched for a video on Kristallnacht. I found one that I had recognized, and I played it for the student, and it was so much more effective than me trying to explain it to him. And this is just one example of how being able to access the information we have available can really enable us to do anything that we want. The next thing is the ability to share information. I gave you the example before about the test calendar, but it's more than that. The ability to share information like this presentation I'm giving you right now. We all have our different teaching styles. I know when I teach, I'd rather the students not have to sit there and write down every single thing I'm saying, because a lot of times that takes away attention from the overall picture that I want them to get. So what I'll often do is I'll tell them to take the general notes, but I'll at the end of class I can email them, or I can share with them online a presentation like this one, so they have all the notes. I can also make information available to parents, like I said before, community members, principals, and especially for before tests, before quizzes, when review time comes. I have the ability also to just provide my students with extra help, extra links to helpful websites, extra articles to read, whatever extra practice problems, whatever is needed. And because sharing information is so easy with technology, it's really just a matter of a click or two to achieve my goal. We always talk about the environment, and we talk about not killing trees. And one of the great things about technology, I know in my classes, I have not Xeroxed or photocopied content probably in about a year and a half. Why? Because everything's available online. I know certainly in the classroom, whether it's online or whether it's a traditional classroom, my students have access to computers. And when they get home, not only do they have access to computers where they can print if they want, then it's up to them, but they also have the material on their cell phones, on their iPads, on their devices, and that information becomes more accessible as well. I actually took a survey of my students last year. I was teaching a 10th grade course, like I said, in Jewish history, and I asked my students what they preferred. Do they prefer that I Xerox, if I had a 20-slide presentation, that's a lot of photocopy. And the students actually said to me, most of them at that point had already had some kind of tablet device or laptop, and they said, you know what, it's just easier, email it to us or put it on your website, and we can access it and read it on the screen. I prefer that anyway. And, we also talk about student responsibility. There's no more, oh, I lost the handout, I couldn't study. Everybody has everything they need accessible at any time. So the next one, technology can make tasks that were cumbersome much more quick. This is a great one. I know, for example, the classic example for teachers is gradebooks. I know when I started teaching about 13 years ago, when it came time to do grades, it was one of the worst times of the semester because I had all these tests and quizzes and attendance grades and participation, and I had to sit there and figure out how I was going to evaluate every student in my class. And, we all have our exceptions. Some students we know try harder. Some students we want to reward a little bit more or be a little more tough on. And that grading process usually took a significant amount of my time. Now, there's so many free grading programs that are out there for teachers to use, whether through Microsoft Excel or whether through a standalone program, that grading now takes me about an eighth of the time that it did 10 years ago or 12 years ago. So these are just a few of the things that technology can bring to us, a couple of the reasons why technology has become not just a toy or the fad, but has really become a central part of our educational existence and our educational lives. Let's take a look now. Let's explore a little bit and talk about this idea of easier and faster communication. We mentioned before it's nice to be able to communicate with the parents, with the students, even when we're not in the classroom. I want to share with you a couple of examples. This is the old method where we have what happens here. This is the classic example. We have the two people talking to each other, and the parallel here is the teacher writing the homework assignment on the board or giving the homework assignment at the end of class, and the student hopefully writing that down in their notebook. And what happens, we play, sometimes it's a game of telephone. This teacher says something, the student hears something else, and at the end of the day or the next day when the student hands in the homework assignment, it's not what the teacher wanted because the student says, oh, I thought you meant something else. And the teacher says, no, that's not what I wanted, you did it wrong. We know the rest of the story. And it sometimes happens the opposite way too. Sometimes the student will tell the teacher something, and the teacher will hear one thing, the student will mean another, and at the end of the day, we have two sides that are not on the same page. And by the way, this happens with parents and principals and all of the community members we're talking about here. So it's not just about homework, it's about general communication. We want to avoid this game of telephone. We want to come up with we want to have an environment where our communication is fluid, where our expectations are clear, where our students, our parents, our community members know what we expect and what we're looking for. And vice versa. We know what they expect as well. And the more information we have, we all know the better we can do, the better job we can do. So let's take a look at some of the resources and some of the ideas that we can bring to this. Obviously, emailing parents is a big one. I mentioned before that most of the students are now social media communicating, but the parents, in my experience, are still checking emails regularly. I know with my own children, we look forward to getting emails from the teacher because it helps us be able to help our son. If he has a quiz and we know it's coming up, if the teacher sends me an email with the review sheet or with the pages he has to study, I'm able to help him much more. If there's a trip coming up, that notification, I know my son can't come late to school that day. So it's a simple thing, and I'm sure many of you are doing this already, but if you're not, I would recommend consider setting up an email tree, a contact list. We'll look at how to do that in another lesson. And even before big events like tests, quizzes, trips, projects, things like that, just send out an email reminder to the parents, and I promise you they will appreciate it a lot. My wife, who's a teacher also, she sends out a weekly email to her parents, just with a quick overview of what they did that day. If she took any photographs in the classroom, she attaches those as well. So you can get as involved, as simple involved, or as as uniform as you want. The next one is grade reporting. Like I said, I know when I've been teaching, students are constantly asking me, what's my GPA? What did I get? What did I get? When are you going to grade my test? And with grade reporting online, there are several programs and several platforms, like I said before. Not only can you use them to figure the grades, to come to the numerical value, but you can also use them for grade reporting, which means that when you grade the math quiz, let's say, and you publish the grades, those grades are number one there for the people who need to see it, the student and the parents, and you, of course. But they're also these platforms also automatically calculate the cumulative GPA, which means that if a student wants to know how he's doing, all he has to do is log into the platform, which he has access to, and he can know. And most of these platforms even enable you to do what we were talking about before, which is to take individual students and change their curves or to give them extra points. We all do it. We're all nice people, and we all know when a student is really struggling, we want to help them out, and we can still do that online. Attendance checks. This is a big one. Many schools have gone over to online attendance. Even when I was teaching about 7-8 years ago in New Jersey, we were at the early stages, but basically every student took attendance on the online platform, and it was automatically received by the school office. So there was no waiting till 12 o'clock to get the attendance report. Even the second period teachers knew if students were late or absent or what have you. And again, nowadays with the online platforms, this information can be given directly to the parents, to the schools, even at a high school level. Colleges and universities may ask for attendance records, and there are ways that we can generate reports to be able to send it directly to them as well. Parental involvement. Now, the joke is always sometimes I say this one, and people tell me, I don't really want my parents involved, and we all have a good chuckle and we all laugh about it. But the truth is, we all know that the more we can get the parents involved in our classes and what's going on, in most cases, the more successful we'll be. We're trying to build up excitement. We're trying to build up a passion for learning, and if the parents are part of our team, that will only be made easier. So. Parental involvement, again, by sending these emails, by making class materials available online, by keeping the parents in the loop, which really we'll see later on with technology does not take a long time to do, but it really makes a world of difference. And I urge you, if you haven't considered some of these ideas already, to really think about bringing them into your own classroom, because these types of things are simple to learn how to do, and I'll be happy to help you learn how to do these things, but they really do make a world of difference. And I'm not just saying that, I promise. And the last thing, like we said before with our telephone example, is less miscommunications. We all know when things are written down, when things are published, things become more clear. And I can tell you numerous stories in my own careers as students and teachers, as a student and a teacher, how this is true. Finally, sorry, one more. Again, it goes to the same role as parental involvement. When we use these platforms, when we send the emails, when we put out our attendance records and our grade reporting, we're giving access to more information. So again, it's bringing people, making them more involved, making them part of our academic world, and it's giving people, it's giving us rather a support mechanism, which is important because we can't do it all ourselves. We know that. As great as we are as teachers, we need help sometimes. And if we can provide that access to more information, what we are actually doing is increasing our circle, increasing our team, and that's important. Okay, let's take a look now at accessing more materials and information. What do I mean by this? Okay, so first of all, we all know that when we have access to the internet, whether it's in our classroom itself or before class as a preparation tool, the amount of online lessons and activities that are out there is just staggering. I'm going to show you in a few minutes how to access some of these online lessons, and if you haven't looked, I think you'll be amazed at what's available. And this is really true across every subject, whether you teach history, math, science, or even Hebrew, Judaic studies, foreign languages. It's really true for everybody now. It didn't used to be, but it is now. Also, when we talk about accessing materials and information, professional development, you guys are participating in this program, and with the exception of a couple of live lessons, this is really self-paced. You're watching this video now when it's good for you. There are a lot of professional development opportunities that are out there, some of them for credit-based programs, some of them just for your own knowledge. Some of them are full month, 2-month, 3-month-long programs. Others are just short tutorials. The point is that as teachers, I always tell teachers that we are also students. We're always going to be students because we want to keep enhancing our own knowledge and expanding what we're able to do. And there are so many examples of professional development that are available online that we can do whenever we want or when we need to do them. So we'll take a look at some examples as well later on. Education communities, this is an important one. One of the things the internet and online communication has enabled us to do is to be able to talk and communicate with other educators. And I always tell teachers, especially if you're teaching a subject that others are teaching, something like math, science, English, history, the big four, you're not the only one having the question that's on your mind right now or having the struggle that you may be experiencing. I can guarantee you almost without a doubt that some other history teacher, some other English teacher is having the same problem or the same issue. And it might even be that somebody else had this issue and figured out a great solution. So these educational communities not only do they do lessons and ideas, but they can also serve as a way for you to collaborate with other colleagues. These colleagues are all over the world, but again, because of the internet, we're able to take advantage of each other's history and background and knowledge. Collaboration with students outside of your class or group. I'll talk briefly about this. The classic example is there's a great program that originated here from Israel called the Twain program. And what happens is a school from Israel is partnered with a school in the United States, usually a Jewish day school. And what happens is the schools join forces and have collaborative lessons together. It may be writing assignments, it may be diaries, it may be video lessons. All sorts of things are happening with this program, and this is great because it allows both you and your students to both teach and learn from other people. And there are other examples as well that we'll take a look at. And again, I just want to mention, I always put this in, no need to reinvent the wheel. For almost all of the cases, what you need is probably there already. If you're looking for an online lesson, if you're looking for an idea, you may have to tweak it a little bit to fit your specific needs, but the hard work has probably been done for you. You just need to know where to find it. So let's take a look. Okay, accessing more materials and information. Let's talk about lesson plans to start. Again, we talk about bringing technology into the classroom, and when we talk about this, a lot of people kind of get scared. They say, "Oh my God, I don't know what to do. I don't know the platforms. How am I supposed to create a technology-based lesson plan?" Well, the good news is that you don't have to. These are just a few of the resources that are available online for lesson plans, and I listed 4 here. The truth is there are probably thousands. It's really staggering. So all you really need to do, like I said, is know where to find the material. You don't have to actually create it. So let's take a look at a few of these websites together. Again, this presentation is available to you on our class website, so you'll be able to open it up and click directly yourself. You don't have to write these down now. But I want to show you a couple of examples. So let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, here we are at lessonplanspage.com. And this is just an incredible resource if you're looking for an online lesson. And again, what's so nice about this, you don't need to do it yourself. You can see if we scroll down, we can publish our own lesson plans for others, or we can search for the perfect lesson plan that we're looking for. So for example, let's do a search for math, and let's see what we find. If we scroll down, we can see we got 972 results just from this search. And now we can go ahead and filter the results a little bit. So if you look on the left here, let's say we want to filter our results by grade. So let's say we're middle school teachers. So I'm going to tell the system, the database, to only show me the math lesson plans from grades 6, 7, and 8. And I'm going to apply the filter. And now we've gone from 972 to 93, which is still a lot, but certainly a little bit easier to manage. And lesson plans page, again, all of this is absolutely free. You can see some of the topics. Here's a geometry lesson in which students create 2D and 3D shapes with toothpicks and chickpeas. Sounds good to me. Here's one, empowering lesson plan utilizes an economically centered African American board game. So again, you have a lot of multidisciplinary things here, and it tells you which subjects these are applicable to. Here's a great one. Here's an idea for using Excel to calculate students' community service time. The topic list just goes on. And what's nice, let's click on one. Here's one in this finance lesson, groups research income and expenses, then prepare a PowerPoint budget that works. So let's click on this lesson and see what happens. So first of all, it tells you here the objective. We can read through this with our students, or we can assign it as a homework reading assignment. And it tells them what they need to turn in here. And it gives them all of the links that they need to be able to do this assignment. The references that may come up. And, the students are then able to get started. And what's so nice about something like this is, let's say you as a teacher are not so familiar with the technology tools. You don't know PowerPoint that well. You don't know Excel all that great. That's okay, because in almost all cases, your students will. So by assigning something like this, you don't have to do the work yourself. All you have to do is be able to evaluate the end result. And that really, a lot of teachers use sites like this, lesson plans page, every single day of their teaching, because like I said, the work has been done for you already. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, which makes things really, really nice. So that's lesson plans page. Let's take a look at another example. We're going to take a look now at a site that many of us are probably familiar with, scholastic.com. Usually when we think about scholastic.com, we think about the magazine, we think about geography. Scholastic.com is actually a great resource for teachers. Here we are at the scholastic.com's lessons plans page, and we can see again we have the same idea as the previous page we took a look at. We can search lesson plans by subject, topic, or keyword. Or we can take a look at the lesson plans that they feature. And they, right now, because of the weather, I guess, they have lesson plans for winter. The lesson plans always tell you the grade that they are appropriate for. So, for example, Life in the Arctic Tundra is actually applicable to everybody from grades pre-K all the way through 8th grade. Again, you may need to adjust it a little bit for your students, but the idea is here. We can see some of the other featured lesson plans. These are for grades 1 and 2. Here's one for Mr. Popper's Penguins Discussion Guide if you're doing the reading. But anyway, you get the idea. Let's go ahead and search for our own lesson plan. Let's search for history and see what comes up. Okay, we have 895 lesson plans that had the term history associated with it. So we can see the topics we have. Here's a Hive for the Honeybee Discussion Guide, Journey to the New World Discussion Guide. So lots of different types of lessons that we have available. Here's an interesting one for the writing process. A picture says 1,000 words. So let's just take this as our example, and let's take a look at this lesson. Okay, so again, we have our grade. We have our unit plan, we have our overview. Students will learn the near of autobiographical writing by creating a well-developed plot. And again, it tells the students exactly what the objectives are, what the teachers will need to provide, what the students will need to provide. And again, is this a computer-specific lesson plan? No, but the content and the idea certainly is made much more accessible by utilizing these lesson plan websites. And Scholastic is just a phenomenal resource. They do a great job of really screening the lessons before they go on, and I've gotten a lot of really good feedback from Scholastic lessons. Okay. The next one I want to take a look at is the Microsoft.com education page. A lot of people don't look at Microsoft as a resource. You only look at Microsoft as a program or a group of programs. But Microsoft's website is actually, we're going to take a look at it several times over the course of this program. It's actually a great resource. So here we are at the Microsoft.com teachers page, and we can see obviously, their lesson plans are really based on their products, on their platforms, but that's actually not a bad thing because almost all of us have access to Microsoft Office and Microsoft programs in our class and to prepare for class. So here's a great one for math for ages 11 to 13, and it actually even tells you here how much time you need to complete it, using graphs to investigate candy color distribution. And that sounds fun. And here's an applicable one here in Israel, tracking your family's water usage. Again, it tells you need 2 to 3 class periods, what age this is appropriate for. And there are a lot of great examples here as well. And like we said, we can filter this list just like we could in the others, either by age, by class periods, by scenario, and by subject. So let's say we want language arts just for our example right now. So let's filter. These are the language arts lesson plans in the Microsoft database. And again, here's a great one. I've actually done variations on this one with other groups. Plan and take a road trip through your state. This is a little bit of a long one. It's going to take several classes, but it's a great lesson. Here's another one. Design and administer and analyze the Generation Gap Survey. Again, obviously this is for older students, but here's an archaeology lesson. You get the idea. Just to show you, let's click on the road trip lesson just to show you an example. And again, just like we saw before, we have a very clear objective, the learning outcomes, and the lesson lesson procedures. And this is important in any lesson you get from online, because if we don't have clear objectives and clear procedures, the lesson will not be as successful. What's really nice about the Microsoft lessons is that you can see here they give you all of the links that you need. So they give you samples, they give you the student guides. So from the student perspective, all the student really has to do is come to this website, read the directions, click, and they can start working. And again, you as the teacher don't need to be an expert in Microsoft Publisher. The students, I promise you, especially if they're working in groups, somebody in the group will be able to take this role. Okay, the last one I want to show you is the lookstein.org page. For those of you who don't know, lookstein.org is a foundation based here in Israel. They do a lot of work for Jewish day schools around the world, not just in the United States. They receive a lot of funding from the Avichai Foundation. One of the things they've really done well is they've published a very well put together lesson plan guide for Judaic studies teachers. So let's take a look. Okay, here we are at Lookstein's Lesson Plans database. We can see we have a lot of different topics here, Tanakh, Jewish history, and they divide it by grade. So let's take a look. Let's say we're teaching Tanakh. Let's say we want to look for a high school Tanakh lesson. And we can see the different topics here, and some of these are really amazing lessons. We have one on Yom HaTzmaut and its relationship to biblical texts. Here's one for Purim, which is not so far away, Megillat Esther, and you can scroll through. Let's just take a look at one example. Let's take a look at Megillat Esther, and again, it tells you who submitted it. You can always see who the lesson is coming from. It gives us an introduction, and again, very clear lesson objectives, skills, and values. And then we come to the procedure. And again, what's nice about these online lessons is every handout or any piece of media that you need for the lesson is included. So really, you just have to open it up, print it, hand it out, or email it, and you're all set. So even whether you're teaching math and science or Judaic studies, there is something for you. Okay, now that we've taken a look at lesson plans, let's continue and talk about professional development. Professional development, like I said before, is a huge area. And whether you're looking for a one-time offering or whether you're looking to participate in a continuous course like this one, there is something for you. I'm not going to show you all of these examples, but I'll just show you one or two examples of online professional development. And you know, I mention this because it's something that is so easy to find, and so many teachers always say to me, where can I learn more? Where can I learn this? But so many people don't even know that these resources exist. I wanted to make sure that I brought them to your attention. Here we are at the website of a company called ASCD. ASCD, some of you might be familiar with. They do a lot of they publish a lot of textbooks. They have a learning management system. But what I wanted to show you now is their professional development program. A lot of teachers really like their programs because they are very well put together. They're very well done. If we hover over the professional development tab here, we can see different online courses that they offer. For example, differentiated instruction, English language learners, the Common Core. So let's just click on the differentiated instruction lesson so you can just see how they present it. Again, ASCD is not a free resource. This one you do have to pay for. It's $99. And again, I'm not advocating that you do this, but they are a very well-known provider, and teachers who have taken their courses have been very happy. And what's nice is that these courses are all self-paced. You can do it when you want. You go on the website, you download, you follow the instructions, and you do it. So ASCD is one example. Here's another professional online services provider. It's called Beacon Educator. A lot of schools use these programs. And again, you can go through yourself, but a lot of their programs are really have become popular amongst teachers. Again, because of their structure, because of their offerings. You can see they offer programs in a lot of different areas: math, reading, gifted courses, and so on. If we click on math, their K through 8 math courses, we can see math for K through 8 teachers, number concepts, number operations, and again, you can go through, but again, this again is also not free, but what's nice about this is it's very affordable. And most schools, I found, even the private Jewish day schools, if a teacher comes with a legitimate professional development opportunity, most schools will try to do what they can to make it happen. So I would definitely urge you, if you're looking to do something, to take advantage. Now here's a website called Teachers First, Thinking Teachers, Teaching Thinkers. What's nice about Teachers First, you can see the buzzword here, free live online snack sessions for teachers. They do a lot of free programs, and their programs are pretty good. They're worth taking a look at. Here are just some of the things that they've done in the past. Find it, use it, exploring the resources to plan effective technology-infused lessons, whiteboards in the web, intro to Web 2.0 tools. And again, this is absolutely free. All you have to do is sign up, join the class, and that's it. They make it really simple. So again, if you're looking to expand your own knowledge, if you're looking to do something different, there are a lot of different opportunities. There's another great resource I'll just show you real quick called lynda.com. Lynda.com is a website. Some of their content they do charge for, but a lot of it is free. Lynda.com is a website that offers professional training courses on technology subjects. You can see if you look at their list of topics, let's say you want to learn about an Adobe product. What they have is they have a lot of free trials and free lessons on Adobe products, Photoshop and InDesign. So if you do even want to increase your own technology understanding and technology level, you can find on lynda.com. Let's take a look. Let's do a search for Microsoft Office. And you can see they have many different tutorials in Word, Excel, Silverlight, different parts of Office, different parts of Microsoft that may be helpful. And again, what you see here is completely free. All you have to do is come to the website, click on it. Teachers First does make you sign up first, but there's really nothing to pay for or no reason to stop you from doing it. Okay, there's also webyeshiva.org, which is an online, exactly what it sounds like. It's an online yeshiva. They have a lot of standard courses, but they will also do specialized courses. If there's a group of Judaic studies teachers, for example, usually they require at least 5 participants, and there's something special that you want to do, either new subject matter or a professional development program. They are always starting new programs, and they are a great group as well. So definitely for the Judaic studies teachers, I'm happy to help you also get in contact with the Web Yeshiva folks who are not too far from me in Jerusalem. Okay, so let's as we continue to talk about accessing more materials and information, the next thing we mentioned was the educational communities. And again, I can't stress this enough, we can learn so much from each other. I bet if I sat with you in a room for an hour and we started talking about our teaching experiences and our subjects, here I am teaching you, but I bet you that you would teach me even more. And unfortunately, we can't always be together, but what's so nice about education communities is that we don't have to be. Here are some of the most popular educational community sites. I'm only going to show you, I'll show you my favorite, which is forteachers.org. Forteachers.org has always been one of my most favorite websites. I can't tell you, I remember they've been around for a long time, and I remember when I was just getting started, if I needed a resource, this was where I came. And you can see, we're talking right now about educational communities. Their blog, for example, is so chock full of great information. I know I keep a little alert, so whenever they publish something new to their blog, I stop and I read it because it's so helpful. They have videos, you can see Cyber Summit on 21st Century Skills. They also have just some amazing links as a side point, online educational games, integrating technology, educators' resources. Along the side here, tools that you can use, online quizzes, Rubistar, Assign a Day. I mean, the list goes on, and they're always adding to this page. So they have a great online educational community here, but they also have a lot of other resources as well. The last one here I'll show you, and again you can check out the other links on your own, is LookJED, which again is brought to us by the Lookstein Center that we saw before. LookJED has become over the years the most popular online message board for Jewish educators. What happens is if you sign up, you can join, and what you'll receive every single day, you'll receive an email digest with topics that people have posted. They may be questions, they may be good ideas, they may be helpful links. This is a great example of educators learning from other educators. I have found so many great resources thanks to LookJED. I've also posted a couple of times myself to help other people. And again, this is completely free. You get the emails, you can read them, not read them if you don't have time, but the resources here, when we talk about educational communities, the resources here are just unquestioned and amazingly valuable. So definitely check out lookstein.org and their LookJED page. Okay. The next thing we'll take a look at is collaboration with students outside of class. And I'm not going to show you these examples outside because you probably know most of them. But I always like to remind people, because these are all free resources, and a lot of people just sometimes forget about them. And it has nothing to do with your technology skills or your experience. Sometimes we just get so busy with what we're doing, we forget about the simple tools that are available. One of our future lessons, we're actually going to take a look at some educational specific ways we can use these tools, but for now I just wanted to mention them. Dropbox, Google Docs, SkyDrive, which is Microsoft's answer to Google Docs. This link, by the way, is a tour of the Google Doc system. So if you're not familiar with Google Docs, I would highly suggest taking about 4 or 5 minutes and going through the tour. You also have Skype. Right now you've been exposed through this program to WebEx, and you'll be exposed to other platforms. But certain tools, just because they're simple and they're popular, it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with them. Skype is just a great way. I had a student a couple of years ago. This goes back almost 5 years ago. She was having surgery, and she was going to miss 2 or 3 weeks of school. So what we did, again, without having any expensive technology in the room other than a computer and a webcam, before class, she turned on her Skype, I turned on my Skype, and she was able to participate in the session, in the class, while recovering. And again, this was a great thing, something that we're able to do. So definitely, if you're not familiar with these tools, basically the idea behind all of these, the first three, Dropbox, Google Docs, and SkyDrive, is that they enable us to share content, even large content, across platforms, across users. So when you need to, when we talk about giving students materials or giving them access to class content, these sites are different ways of doing it. But again, we'll talk about them more later on. Okay, so like I said before, the last point was there's no need to reinvent the wheel. And what does that mean? Again, I'll say, we talk about online lesson plans. During this lesson, I've shown you a lot of different links, a lot of things you can do. What's so nice about this is that the material is here already. You may have to open it up and adjust the due date, adjust the requirement. However, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. And that's something that a lot of teachers forget. If you're teaching a novel, if you're teaching a period of history, if you're teaching a math concept, a science concept, even a Jewish holiday or something from Tanakh or the Bible, you're not the only one teaching it. Chances are somebody else has done something that you can use. So I've listed a couple of websites here. Again, these are just a few examples. There are thousands more. I'll show you one or two just so you get an idea. This is a website called Quia.com, Q-U-I-A. You do have to join. There is a free trial. But you can see some of the links that they have here. A lot of shared content for both instructors and students. Create activities, quizzes, calendars, surveys. You could also click on a specific subject to get information. Just a great, great resource that you can take advantage of. And again, we saw before the lesson plan databases. That's only a tip of the iceberg. Sites like Kia.com not only give you lesson plans, but give you actual tools that you can use. And also, before we saw the forteachers.org website as well. Another tremendous resource is Chabad.org for those of you who are teaching Judaic studies. They have so many different resources. And what's nice about their content is it's just so well produced. They really, Chabad takes a lot of time to do what they do and to do it well. If we click, for example, on the holidays, we can see the resources that are available, everything from games to stories to multimedia. There's just a great amount of information here. And when we talk about not reinventing the wheel, just some common sites that I have to show you because a lot of people forget about them. Like I said before, you know about it, but when you're looking and you're thinking about your lessons, you don't always remember. First one I'll show you is history.com. This is the website of the History Channel, and if you're a history teacher, English teacher, even Jewish history, there's some good content here. The amount of videos, articles, blogs, activities, topics, etc. that this page has is really unparalleled. It's really unmatched. And again, it's all free. Here's 100th anniversary of Richard Nixon's birth was today, so you learned something new. But videos, students love the videos. We all know that. And this is just, you can even give for homework. You can give a link to history.com and say, watch a video and answer some questions. And then the last thing I'll show you is the classic example, which is YouTube. YouTube just has so much on it. And again, you always have to filter. You always have to make sure you know what you're assigning. But YouTube is just an incredible resource that if you need a video and you're not sure where to look, this is a good place to start. Okay, so we've taken a look at a lot of possibilities in this lesson. I've tried to show you some ways that you can easily start to think about integrating technology into your classroom. Again, what I've tried to show you are things that even if you're not a technology expert, you can still bring into your own class fairly easily. And what I want to do now, I want you to take the next week or so before our next lesson, and I want you to do a little bit of practicing yourself. So your missions for this week are the following. First, I want you to, for next week, select one of your existing lesson plans that currently does not include a technology element. This can be any subject, any grade level. Take something that you've taught a lot. Take something that you have a lot of experience teaching that you may have done this year, last year, it doesn't matter. Using at least one of the sites we looked at in this lesson, I want you to take that lesson without technology and add an existing technology component to the lesson. What do I mean? For example, let's say you taught the founding of the United States, and you went through and you had an on-paper activity for the students to learn about George Washington crossing the Delaware River. Well, think about how you might be able to make that even a better lesson by adding a technology component. It might be a video, it might be an online lesson plan that you find, it might be a tool that you find online from a teacher community. That's up to you. So the technology could be in the planning stages. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be something the students would do. It could be something that you do to prepare the lesson. Or the technology could be at the actual implementation level. When you give the lesson to the students, when you're delivering the lesson, how are you going to actually implement it? And what I'd like you to do is to email me both the original lesson plan as it was before, and the enhanced lesson plan, the lesson plan including the technology element that you've added. And then the next thing I'd like you to do is I want you to actually join an online community, whether it's LookJed, whether it's something from 4teachers.org. That's up to you. You can use one of my examples, or you can use something you find on your own. And I want you to see if you can learn something new from a fellow educator. It may be a comment, it may be a lesson somebody posts. It's up to you. You do not need to post a submission if you don't want to. Again, I'm not requiring you to actually post something to a LookJed group or to another online community, but I do want you to, or encourage you to follow some discussions to see if they can lead to any new ideas or insights. And at the end, I want you to email me your observations. So you may send me an email that says, I joined the 4teachers.org online community. I read one of their blog posts and it inspired me to start thinking about this idea. Something like that. You don't have to go too in depth, but I want you to get the experience of actually communicating and observing teachers who are not in your specific location. So these are the two things I want you to do. I don't want you to spend more than about 20 to 30 minutes all week. I know you all have a lot going on with your own classes and families and whatever else. If this takes you more than, I'd say, 25 minutes, stop and just send me an email and say, here's what I have so far. I'm not looking to make your lives more difficult. I just want you to get some hands-on experience. So that's for this week. And again, when you're finished, you can submit your content to me. This is my email address, aryeh@bonimbiachad.org. This presentation is on our website, like I showed you last week, so you can download this presentation directly and have the assignment, have the content. If you do need help along the way or you have questions, you can either email me, or if you need to, you're welcome to call me. This is my American number that rings here in Israel. So if you do call, just please remember the time difference. We are 7 hours ahead. So don't call me at 4 o'clock your time, because that will be 11 p.m. my time. And actually, that's probably okay, but that's probably about the latest. So that's what I want you to do for next week. In this lesson, we took a look at some ways that you can easily incorporate technology into your own classrooms. In future lessons, we're going to look at some of these methods more closely, and we're going to take a look at some more practical examples. Next week, we're going to start to talk about developing a true blended learning solution. What is that? What does blended learning mean, and how can we start the process very easily? Again, if you need any help or you have any questions with any of the material we discussed in this lesson, please feel free to reach out to me by email or by phone. And I look forward to seeing you back here, at least virtually, next week. Have a great week, and good luck.